To order. Looks like everyone is here in person. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda as prepared by Kevin?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion about it? Additions?
No changes, Kevin?
No additions.
All right. All in favor of approving the agenda as submitted, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Approval of the minutes. And I have a motion for that. Second?
Second.
Any discussion or corrections to that? Okay. Not hearing anything. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All right. That is okay. And on to the director's report. Kevin,
Financial reports?
whatever order you want to do them.
Whatever order you
Yeah.
Oh, director's
Oh.
report is next on the
Oh,
agenda.
okay. Then sorry. All right, director's report, then I will just,
We can do them whatever order you have them prepared, whatever easier for you.
if we can, yeah, then I'll just scroll through the financial reports if that's okay. So the bank statement is there with the deposits from the various weeks and the checks that were run through. The couple large checks. One check was for the database subscription that you all had approved previously. The other large check was for summer programming materials that had been approved a number of months ago, but we just ordered some of those things. So those are all, other than the database, the other ones are summer programming, and that $495 was that Swank movie license that you had approved as well.
Okay.
And profit and loss statement, any questions? If anybody looked through that, just all of the income, so the deposits from the various weeks, and then the expenses, the database subscription, summer reading program, the $495 was that Swank movie license, so that's there. And the balance sheet. And then where we are budget-wise at the end of July. So, salary-wise, personnel were at about 51%. So, we're 7 months through. I think one reason that, we're not more than 51% is, we were without the cataloger for a while, and then Allery, when she did start, was part-time. So that's why salaries is, although with salaries, we also had to pay, we had the compensated absence of Jean Johns, just as a reminder for paying her out. Current expenses, nothing new to repair and maintenance. That's just,
So going back up to that part-time salary, is that something that you pay out more of in the summer than?
No, we just, because all of the part-time employees are pretty much scheduled the same hours every week throughout the.
Because that's the only one that's higher than the rest, so.
Yeah. And the reason that that's higher is because Allery was part-time. So the hours that Allery worked from when she began in April to
Oh, that's right.
until the end of the school year, so that got attached to part-time.
Sure.
But the salaries, full-time salaries,
Right.
then will be under, should be under at the end of the year.
Forgot about that.
So, and then current expenses, I don't know if anything jumped out at anybody. We're, I think fairly on track there. In capital outlay, the one thing we're kind of low on audio visual. We have ordered a few more things, and as I talked about and put in the budget request for next year, I requested that we lower audiovisual capital outlay and put more into, ebooks and audiobooks, because I think more people are downloading, and I think that's just more convenient. So, I don't know that we will end up spending all of the audiovisual capital outlay.
Okay.
So any questions there? And then the detail that I'll just kind of scroll through quickly.
Anything of note in that?
No.
All right. So that is that the end of your financial report then, Kevin?
Yes.
Okay. So any discussion on that? Okay, can I have a motion to approve the financial report and approval of bills?
Motion to accept.
Second?
Second.
And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so that passed. So then let's bump back to number 5, director's report.
Okay. So, the written report there, and I'll just, for the last item in my written report, I handed out new library cards to all of you. So, I think once we use up the rest of our existing cards, we'll be using these Mitchell branded cards for our basic, our main card. But we'll be talking about the library card contest, and we'll have those available too. But it was, I think, going with the printer that we went with, I was very pleased. The quality was good. They were easy to work with, and much cheaper than using the Atrium vendor. Just whatever printer they had, it was way more expensive. So, and I'll just note we'll look at the statistics, but hopefully you like the new format that I borrowed from Huron, and when we get to those pages, we can talk about what you prefer seeing on that. The only other thing that I will add as a narrative is after we went through the budget request last month, I did add one more item, and that was after just having a conversation with Stephanie Elwine. She said, the library should have a Mitchell branded sign like all of the other departments. Public safety has a sign outside, and the community center does. And so I got some pricing from both Make It Mine Design and Sign Pros, and I just added that into, because I thought if she was going to suggest it, maybe there'd be a chance to actually get it. And there isn't a,
Let the city fund it at the capital expense.
yeah. And it would be, and Denny told me that in the past, before the renovation, there was that sign kind of on the, that was just low off the
Yep.
ground
Yep.
on the east side of the building. That's the address of the building, but I think a new sign, that's on a pole would be better placed on Sanborn.
Sure.
with more traffic.
We had talked at one point when the year before Sanborn was under construction, so go back 4 years, that we wanted an electronic sign similar to what the ice arena has to be on the boulevard on Sanborn. So it could say the library, and we could put children's program Tuesday or whatever, and have an electronic sign there. Need $35,000-$40,000 to do that, and it never materialized. So it's still, I think, something we should
Look at.
look at.
Well, and I didn't.
That was our wish. It's
Okay.
like, Sanborn's going to be done. We got 3rd Avenue so we can drive both directions and that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys were aware, we did the car count on Sanborn before that went through, and in a 3-day period, I think we had 38 cars that drove down 3rd Avenue the wrong way to get into the library's parking lot. So people were driving that way anyway. They just turn in there and turn around
Quick,
the corner, whether it was one way or not, to get into the library's parking lot. So that's done. The presence, I think, should be to Sanborn, because that's would get 99% of the visibility.
Yeah.
If it was a sign that included other city-funded things, would the city pay for it?
Potentially. The middle school did theirs with 4 corporate donations of $10,000 each. And Joe Graves could probably get you the background on what they did to get the middle school sign.
Okay. So if that's not funded, or maybe if
Ice Arenas was donated.
yeah, I ended up calling. I mean, it came in late because it was like a week before budget requests were due, is when I had that conversation. So then I called Make It Mine Design, and then I was surprised at their bid was, or their quote was higher than I thought it would be, but I'd never done this before. I never priced that kind of a sign before. So, I quickly called Sign Pro like that Friday afternoon that budget requests were due, and the guy just kind of off the top of his head came up with a price that was lower, significantly lower than the Make It Mine Design. So I just used the Make It Mine Design quote and said, okay, I'll put that in there because I have a quote on that. So if we could do that and then maybe combine some other funds with it to go digital.
Just something to think about.
Sure.
So, but I just wanted to let you know that that was a change, a last minute change that I added into the budget request. And I just added here, 1 week's or 6 days worth of the type of report we get from the PayPal here, that we can actually see how many different items and of each we sell. So I mean, that's interesting information now that we never had before.
So like the hardcover book, that means from the book sale?
Yes, yeah. And those codes there on the items sold in the right-hand column, we ended up just coming up with a code so that we could have like items alphabetized together. So the BS is for book sale and not some other BS. And, the C for copy, L for library fees, so for, membership subscriptions. And then M is miscellaneous. So the donations, headphones go under that. But, that's kind of how we have, as I've told you before, we have 3 different cash drawers And so there's one for book sales, one for copies, and one for, and, you know, to do away with all of those, but we still, you know, then, and it's nice then to be able to see all of the book sale items together, still have them.
I continue to be amazed that we make that much from $1.25, or either $1 or
Yeah.
25-cent sales.
You know, on a-
We
on a-
continue to make that much money a month.
On a, you know, weekly basis.
I know, it just,
So-
it's great, I know,
And,
because,
you know,
like you said,
and-
most of those are bought, and then
You know, I have,
Back in again.
this past month, I have been reading some other library board meeting minutes just to see, you know, kind of their format of reports and that type of thing. And, you know, some of them have maybe quarterly book sales that they sell $1,000. And, you know, we're doing, you know, that 150 a month, so, or, you know, they didn't. And so, you know, I think we're comparable.
sure.
Probably throughout the year. So here's the new statistics report that I put together borrowing this from Huron's format. And I mean, a lot of the same things, maybe just a little different breakout, but it's also then by month with totaled then year to date, and then compared to just last year. You know, compared to the tables that I have been presenting you, you know, there's the year, multiple years, and so that's I guess, the one difference. And so I wanted to see what you prefer, if you like the multiple years comparison, or you like to see each month broken out like this.
I wrote, you know, I think this is great, and the multiple year thing
Can be in the,
could be in the annual report.
well, and I can still do those
You want it for
graphs.
5 years or whatever.
Yeah. And I can still do those graphs too. I mean, that's not any problem. You know, I mean, because I basically just take these tables and, you know, then do these graphs. So, you know, circulation by year, you can, and that, I think, is a better way for you to compare quickly, much more quickly, you know, the yearly circulation than having to, you know, dig through this table and figure it all out.
Tables were just so that we knew we were keeping track.
And,
I had no problem. It looked like it broke it out real nice.
and I added in, which, you know, I haven't been doing this, but I added in this collections holdings where you can then see,
Yep.
and I don't know if Jackie had been including this type of information, but, you know,
We put the totals in every month, but not the delta changes.
so the number that we've added and the number that we've
Yep.
weeded too, so, and you can see back in April, we weeded quite a number. So,
With the software you have, is it easy to pull up these graphs and tables? Or are you spending too much time on them, maybe?
no, it just took me a bit, you know, it took me a couple hours to create this, but Cindy Minen, she collects all of the statistics and then every month sends them to me.
Okay.
And then I just put them all into, you know, into format of the spreadsheet that, you know, you provided me.
Still had? Oh.
Yeah, I'm still, because it's just all there, and then for this, I just point it back to the other tabs, tables, and so it just pulls it in, so I'm not doing any double entry then.
Okay.
And you can see, like, the collections holdings, you know, I have it figured out. I mean, it's the same, but then when it gets a new number here, then you know, it'll calculate it to the new collection holdings total. And then I added in just one thing, that they had included Facebook reach, and I thought, oh, that's interesting. And we can get that information, and so, whatever the definition of that Facebook uses for people reach, but, I'm grabbed that, and with the help of Jean, grabbed those numbers. And, this year, 82,500 compared to 120,000 last year. So, I think we're potentially reach more people via Facebook this year than last year. So, well, then I will continue this, and maybe, if it's okay, this will still exist, but I won't show it to you then in future months. And then the graphs. So again, some of these will then give you the totals and year comparisons.
Library cards, sorry, I'm backing up, that just occurred to me, I saw something about that. You don't routinely change out people's cards.
No.
It's just,
You are special.
okay.
If people lose their cards, we do. They come in and that was part of the circulation policy that we, updated whenever that was in the last year. And we also removed the replacement card fee. I think they charged $1, and it was like, if somebody loses their card, let's not charge them. We want them to come use the library, and we don't want to, and especially with these cards now, it only costs, about 50 cents a card, so it's not that big of a deal.
Okay.
So, we did have somebody today that she still had her card. She called in for an interlibrary loan request, told me her name, and she wasn't in the system, and I said, do you have a library account? And she said, yeah, and I'm looking at my library card right now, and here's my barcode number. So then I tried the barcode number she gave me, and there was still no account, because then I asked her, has it been a while since you used the library? Yeah, so it was probably long enough that her card expired, and then it was long enough that her account was expired long enough that it ended up being purged. So, we gave her a new card today. So, oh, what's this? So any questions about any of those reports? Then I'll move on to summer program. So I also have children's services report, and then a report from Zach North as well. Jean was on vacation last week, and so didn't have a chance to, she had put the numbers together, but didn't have a chance to write a narrative report. And I know that you like hearing the stories and the comments, and I reminded Jean of that. And so she graciously today got this written up, and so I added it in here. There are some nice comments, and she also brought a handout to give you all for photos of some of the summer programming. So, Jean, if you want to say anything more, just press the button.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say thanks again for your support and your funding. I can't even begin to count the number of positive comments just thanking the library for doing so much this year. So that gives us a narrative, and if you need a hard copy, seeing that it was delivered late to Kevin, I do have hard copies of this too. What I am going to pass out is I just made 3 copies because it got kind of lengthy, And although I do have permissions from these parents, I'd feel better, just, having them back again. So I have 3 that y'all can share and look at together. And what this does is it goes through the programs that we have, not by numbers, but to give you a personality, of what's been going on. Our kickoff was the ever-famous GOATs with Andy Herbst. And it doesn't matter what high-dollar programs we have, the kids love the GOATs. And it's funny because Andy doesn't even give a program. She just sits there and feeds Doritos to her goats and answers questions, and the kids love her low-key approach. The following week, we had Amanda Radke. Some of you may know her as Amanda Knowles. She's local, or grew up in Mitchell. And she donated her, for a very low amount compared to her normal honorarium. She gave 2 presentations on a blistering hot day, and she had her calf with her in the morning. And a lot of parents appreciated just the opportunity for kids to touch a calf. And I know some of us think, well, what's the big deal with that? But it's amazing how many Mitchell kids do not get out in the country. So this was a neat experience. On the following Saturday, we had a magician come from Omaha. He was one of the higher dollar performers we had, and he was wonderful, so warm, down to earth, and he found a way to weave the library into so many of his tricks. And then he gave kids an optical illusion bookmark afterwards. But what parents really appreciated, the kids loved it, but what many of the parents said who worked outside the home is finally there's something we can attend with our kids. And these are kids who may have gone to events with babysitters, but for them to come as a family meant a lot to them.
On a Saturday?
On a Saturday morning. And I tell you the truth, I was really nervous that we would not have much of a turnout, but we had, I believe, 195 people there that morning. It was the most beautiful morning, and then I think there was a food truck there, and it smelled like bacon. It could not have been a more beautiful morning. I even asked Doug about the bacon smell. He said no, he didn't fan it out to us, but we both agreed that might be a good idea. So, but then as those events go on, and you'll see in the narrative, some of these were also provided evening programs to families, and they enjoyed that a lot. The 15th was the Zoomobile. We had 590 people in attendance, and I think I lowballed it. Very, very well received, and I think the space outdoors was wonderful, but also it did give a chance to the kids afterwards to come up and pet that animal individually. So it can't just be an assembly. The individual interaction needs to be there on some level. Now, we had a lot of comments, I didn't write all this, from parents and kids wondering if the Zoomobile would come again, if we'd be able to have mammals. And I said, well, it depends on the temperature. And I did talk to the woman at great length afterwards, and, she said that certainly, other animals would be available, if we were to go to some indoor program. And it might be something to think about in fall. Doug Greenway also thought that would be really cool on a cooler morning, to have the same sort of a program, seeing if we could have people coming in fall. So that's something to think about. As the summer went on and the temperatures got higher, we had the hoop dancer come on June 22nd. This was through the South Dakota South Dakota Arts Council. She was terrific. She brought 2 assistants with her. One was her sister, and I think one was her sister's boyfriend, and they stole the show. It was just wonderful, and I loved how she had the kids come out and do something at the beginning of the program and not at the end. And it was just really, I know it sounds cliche, but just heartwarming to see so many kids of different backgrounds, different ages, tourists. One tourist was next to me with his phone, and then he called somebody else and said, you got to come down here to this palace thing. You wouldn't believe what I'm watching, So there were some neat things that happened with that. But most of all, afterwards, and this was the only presentation where this happened, people came to me from organizations in Mitchell and said, how can we get her at our place, and specifically Abbott House was the most interested. So this might be something to look into as far as a partnership. She does do Artists in Residence, which is a week-long thing through the Arts Council, and that's something we might look into. We're partnering with schools or Abbott House. The following week, the South Dakota Highway Patrol people were here. They brought 4 dogs and 4 officers from 4 different parts of southeast South Dakota. So it wasn't just Sergeant Lord from Mitchell, it was the other men, and also a woman too who came. And kids really gravitated towards this, and a lot of parents expressed kind of I don't know, they were just overwhelmed with how much they didn't know about the dogs. And then afterwards, one little boy came. He had been looking forward to this the whole summer, but lo and behold, swimming lessons conflicted. He came late, and one of the officers stayed afterwards to talk with him and brought his dog out again. Then coming into July, we had the alpaca that just brought people out of the cracks. Kids got to touch the alpaca. And then we had our indoor programs, which we thought would be good for July, but lo and behold, the weather was cooler. So on the 14th, we had Dr. Allison Pierce-Stevens, who's an author, give a Zoom call about rhinos in Nebraska, which was about the ashfall fossil beds in north central Nebraska. And so many people afterwards were planning trips to ashfall. You know, that was fun to see that. Then on the 21st, Diane Keiko came with Junie B. for an entirely different kind of a program. Kids signed up ahead of time to have a special reading time with Junie B. I can't say enough about Junie B., but also about Diane, and it really made an impact on those kids who came. And we've talked about maybe having this be one of the programs for fall, to have a Wednesday afternoon after school session for people and kids in the community. And this could also include LifeQuest people too. Then we had Dr. Farney, of course, at for our grand finale, and he came and did sessions all day long on the 30th. We also, in August, had a partnership with Cornerstone's Career Learning Center. They provided free books and activities for our last story time, and this was a very nice way to end the summer. So for summer, for September, we're looking forward to resuming story times. That's all dependent upon the virus, and I wrote down, my ideas in that narrative. And then in October, we'd like to do Read for the Record one more time, and to have on-site and online opportunities. And then, as I've listed also, we have a couple of speaking requests, one from DWU and one from the Lewis and Clark Reading Council. And then just before I left, somebody told me somebody was in yesterday asking about bilingual story time. Would we keep doing it? So that would be a really neat thing to offer on Saturdays. But it's a little bit tricky with staffing to see if we could handle all that. And then for all of you, I did bring some Tails and Tails tattoos.
How exciting.
It is. Well, the kids were excited about it anyway. Okay.
Thanks, Jean.
Thank you, Jean.
And then Zach provided a written report too. He said today was his day off, but he said he was going to come anyway. But he has a report about how things went for the summer, and the couple of the different programs and what's coming up to book clubs in the books that are planned for the next 3 months for the mystery book club. And he's going to start up in October craft night for adults. Just a couple other items, and he's reaching out to the James Valley Community Center, and we want to try and get word out a couple of different ways as well. So, And here's the report. I'll just scroll here. You can see those pie graphs. The first one, this is June, and then July, and just the breakdown of types of programs, and then attendance to those programs. So kind of how that looks visually of what we had. So a lot of both months, children attendance at children's programs was a high, about over 77% for both.
Awesome.
And the Wi-Fi, unless you want me to, I don't know that I will continue adding this in. I wanted to just let you see what it's like, but we are getting close to having this Wi-Fi for a year now. So, and I also put that in the the statistics report. So, that's the report. Any questions?
I just wanted to say, Jean, what a wonderful job you did. It's just fantastic. You're reading the stories. It really is.
Well, thank you so
It
much.
really is great. And is Tales and Tales something that you'll do every summer, or does it have to be a different theme each summer? How does that work?
I would love to do Tales and Tales forever, because animals bring kids and families
That's
together.
what I was thinking too.
Actually, the themes are chosen from a national organization, and next year's theme is oceanography, I believe, or something like that. So we'll be able to work in water and water animals, and we'll find a way to keep things going.
Well, if you never came to the Carm Palace Plaza on a Children's Day, it was a sight to see, let me tell you, just a sea of children out
Yep.
there. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome, yeah.
I think it says a lot for our community, too. There's just a real thirst and enthusiasm to provide things for youth,
Yeah,
and I think it
Very
says a lot about Mitchell.
And
Thank you.
I'll just reiterate, at the alpaca night, Nick was there. I mean, he's now over at MTC, and he talked to me about how excited they were about the programming, and they've been trying to come up with some offerings to get people to come to the plaza, and so both he and Doug were so happy with what we did and how we partnered with them, and how people came out there. I think it was a good thing.
We did. Thank you for asking, and with,
Yeah.
I just didn't have enough money to do
Oh.
the things she needed to do or wanted to.
yeah. The only thing, and I have this with some funding requests, is that we have some students, or some young people who really went the extra mile, and similar to last year, to have some extra mile reader prizes, at the end. But yes, more than enough was budgeted for the speakers, and many speakers donated their time too. So that was wonderful.
Can I have a hard copy of your report?
Sure. Yeah. Does anybody need a hard copy of the narrative?
And by the end of the month, then we need to submit our summer programming numbers to the state library, just for that, to wrap all that up. And I didn't know this, but I learned that we need to submit our programming numbers by the deadline in order to be able to participate in this national
Oh.
collaborative. I mean, that's, but, we will have them in, so.
And that collaborative is so helpful, and that way we don't have to design all of our own graphics and all of our own materials, everything.
Yeah, these,
It's easy to order.
this is part
Like
of
the
it.
tattoos.
So that's the report.
Thank you. So that's all of your director's report. Any other questions or comments? Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. On to business items. Kevin, let's see. A says bylaws.
I'll just make that
You
bigger.
just made a couple changes, right?
Yeah, on the screen are the two changes that we're proposing to the trustees, section 1 of the bylaws, and the first, which is in green, if you can tell that that's green text, that was at the end of the paragraph, and I moved that sentence up to that position in front of the sentence about the governing body may appoint one, and then inserted that last sentence about the member of the governing body serving as trustee shall not be limited to any number of consecutive terms so long as the governing body continues appointing such member. And that wording came from Justin, our city attorney, and then that takes
that
care of
Covers,
that.
That makes
Yeah,
me legal.
okay.
yeah.
I don't know. Governing body shall appoint 5 competent citizens. I'm not sure that if I qualify. All right, so do we need to, is that just, you're showing us what you did, or do we need to approve
No,
that?
this needs to be approved.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the change in bylaws?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passed. Action to approve library survey. Okay, this is where you expanded on what we talked about last month, correct?
Yep, and I sent out the, there we are. I sent out the extra section, the feedback from you all. I mean, these were the list of things, and I just going to put it in to take up less space. So if we get final approval, then we'll either use the city form capability or use SurveyMonkey or something to make it available. We'll also have hard copies that we can, hand out to people in the library.
So what is your time frame on that you're thinking?
Well, we will start, we'll figure out all the various, if we'll use SurveyMonkey or just the city form, and put a link to that, from our webpage with an announcement that we're, I have to find out, do you have any idea, Steve, if the city has an account to SurveyMonkey? I mean, I can find out
I
from
do not.
Stephanie.
I've seen a
mean-
couple surveys that we've done internally, but Stephanie would know.
Yeah. I mean, because that way, then, you'd get some of the crunching of the numbers too, instead of, and the ones that we get done by hard copy, that we could just have somebody enter them into the SurveyMonkey as a separate response so that we have them all together. So I would expect, that for the month of September, or, in September, we will be conducting this.
Run and push it for a month or 6 weeks or?
I think probably a month at the most. I was thinking 3, if we get word out. I mean, but, probably a whole month would be, and maybe after.
Push it on everybody else, just
Yeah.
to see what we can get.
And we'll use Facebook, and, we'll promote it in the library and to people who, and I'm sure Jean will, probably every parent who comes in. Have you taken our survey yet?
Fill this out.
Well, we want to have the information ready for when we have to do budget. hearings,
That would be
So that would be October.
ideal. That's
Yeah.
cutting it pretty close, but
That's October though, right? Steve?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we can do the survey in September, that would prepare us.
And I mean, school starts tomorrow, so people will get the newness of that. I mean, maybe if we could even do it, I mean, I will tomorrow find out from Stephanie if we have SurveyMonkey, and if so, we can start creating it in there, and maybe even next week have it ready to go.
And then you're thinking maybe for about a month? Okay. All right.
I think.
Sounds good. Any other
It'd be nice
comments?
to pull highlighted information out for,
That's what I'm thinking.
and I keep
Make our case, yeah.
looking at what I've looked at now, I'm and hearing it's like maybe push for more part-time salary, money, highlight the summer activities and the use of the plaza. And then I also want to, I checked when you sent out our number 4 item, tie in with Forward 2040 on the inclusive community, and then the bilingual story time stuff. I think if we
Yeah.
throw that together, we'll hit the planning points that I think will resonate.
Good.
Because if you try and do too much, then all stuff just gets lost. But
Yeah.
if we can do the bilingual inclusivity from the Forward 2040, and the library can be a focus point of that, even from the whole city standpoint. And then the way to get that is more part-time help, so that the full-time people can do
More
and
of the
plan all
programming.
those things. And then show the increase in use and technology, and the $15,000 comments that I got back. Well, look, they're getting grants, they're getting this, they're getting other stuff. I hope it doesn't hurt us that, they don't need money because they're getting grants.
Yeah.
But that we want to update and do those things. And I think that in a 3 or 4 section presentation is kind of what I'm thinking.
That's really helpful, Steve, thank you. So you need us to, basically just approve the survey, right? So
Mhm.
some help?
Well, I mean, or if you concur, I don't know if you want to give far, but I thought, well, unless there's any changes, I mean, Diana, you okay with it?
Completely full disclosure, I did not look at it.
That's all right. Well, everything other than that little number 4, question number 4, is the same as last month. So, I mean, that was the list of
Do you have a printed copy of them together?
I do not.
I do.
Oh, yeah, it went on to that last page, or whatever the last question was. Kevin, here's a question I have. So if through the discussion we decide we want to, let's go for a makerspace 3D printer work area, where would we put it? Could we have a place to put it in 6 months or something?
If we would have,
Are planning for that?
yeah, I mean, if we would have gotten,
The big
the
grant.
big amount that we had requested, I mean, the plan that I had come up with, and, I talked to Zach, who I talked to about technology the most on the staff. Sorry, Gene. Where I don't know if you know where, the periodicals were, that center part back there. We're planning on removing shelving there, and we were going to put it in that kind of alcove. But one of the other things that then funding requests that we need is the money, requested money for, wiring and electrical and network wiring because we would need network and electrical connections to put it there. But, we thought, then that's an area just kind of right behind the computers.
Any idea how much the electric? supply-
Well, I'd request, the bid I got from, one of the electrician companies was right at $5,000. I mean, they said the bid would only be good for 14 days because electrical
Right, but
materials
it's in
were
that
going
ballpark.
up, but yeah,
It's going to cost some money to rewire to
yeah.
have that happen, but we've got to look at that in the total cost. Okay. Just curious.
Any comments, Diana? Okay. Anyone?
Lovely and a smile.
All right, so looks like the
I'll
public,
vote approval of the survey.
okay, second?
Second?
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that passed. Library card contest.
Okay, I just, again, want to get your approval, and probably, this is similar. The only thing added in here is we, I guess, are recommending a prize amount, and we came up with that because we thought, all right, we want to do 50, 100, well, let's split the difference and then see what the board thinks. And if you think going back to 50 per winner, that'd be three $50 winners, or if you want to, I just didn't know, something like this, but I think we want to give some type of award to the winning design, besides their design being used.
Who's picking the winners?
Well, that, I think that is one thing that we'll iron out in the next 2 months. I think I would want to have, since this is a board-funded and a board-approved contest, I would want to have a couple board members, a couple staff members, maybe a couple area art teachers as well. That would be one possibility. Another, I think, or at least we would want to have a committee of people to narrow down. And then another possibility would be to, and after the committee narrows it down to maybe 3 in each category, post them in the hallway of the library and have the public vote. But I don't necessarily want it to be a popularity contest as opposed to a, quality design.
So can we keep the artist names anonymous?
Yeah, the intent is, and in the directions, we say that do not put your name on the artwork. And so they fill this out, cut off that bottom part, and then they can, staple it or paper clip it to this. And then when they're submitted, or they, email it to us.
They might be all submitted electronically.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah, and then we would still probably print off the electronic. We would print it.
Yeah.
And then we would number each entry form, and then put that number on the back of the entry, so that we don't know. So that committee selecting, it's just an anonymous thing.
Do we need to make a committee, or can we just do it as part of our board meeting? Since you want some board members.
I think it's going to have to be a working group, or, it can be the whole committee, the whole board, but, if we get 100 submissions, it could take a bit. You may even just have to come in and look at them, or,
At least narrow it down.
yeah.
The only thing I saw on this was, unless I've missed it, we don't tell people when we're going to let them know, when we're making a decision.
And that would, yeah. I mean, and the other thing, it's not on here, I mean, and part of it was not knowing exactly how we were going to decide and the length of time that it would take, you know, depending, if it's a committee or for everybody, it could take a couple of weeks, you know, for people to come in and view and make their, you know, their choices. And then if we would go with have the public vote, it could take another, it could make, yeah, I mean, we could have a 2-week voting period or something. So it could be into the then middle of December before the final decision's made.
And
Which-
is that timeframe okay for what you want to use it for?
Well, actually, I think the time frame in terms of budget-wise, I think I would rather purchase, since we just purchased 2,000 library cards out of the supplies budget, that I wouldn't mind waiting until the 2022 budget to then buy these library cards out of next fiscal year's supplies budget. So, you know, I think I would like, by the end of the year,
Okay.
you know, by the end, or by December 15th, or, you know, somewhere in there, it would be nice to make, you know, have the decision and the announcement made.
Your second bullet point, so you allow multiple entries? Are you asking us, or?
Oh, yeah,
I don't
yeah,
care.
what do you think?
I don't care if it's multiple entries.
I would go with one, so you don't have somebody who submits 16 designs.
Has an unfair advantage. I think
Hmm.
My first thought is
One in
one,
each
but-
category?
Or,
Well, you can only do, because, I mean, it's your age, yeah, it's, the categories are age, so,
What if you do it anonymously and you lie about your age?
oh,
Well, then-
Are
Ghost.
you planning on entering?
yeah, how many are you planning on submitting?
Ghostwriter. Enter.
So what are we approving right now, just the
I don't
contest
care.
itself?
And I guess the amount too, so that we can start.
I have
Because-
another question. Is that digital entries can be submitted to library board at cityofmitchell.org? That is already an existing
It's,
something?
yeah, that it just then redirects to my account, but,
Okay,
so it's, you know, but we'll publicize that the Mitchell Public Library Board of Trustees is offering a library card contest,
Okay.
so, you know, it goes to the,
Yep. Okay.
so that's, yeah, that's the email account that exists, but goes then to my email.
okay, submissions may be in any art medium.
Oh, thank you.
So Steve, because this isn't a raffle, we don't need anybody's permission to do it.
No, it's not.
But we're giving away money prize.
Yeah, that's no.
Okay.
This is a contest.
So I move to earmark $400 for prize money to be awarded at the discretion of director and board. That way, if they want to do honorable mention, or if you want to do a People's Choice Award, or you want to do other things.
And one entry per.
I think one
I
entry.
think one entry per. Make the artist narrow it down.
And give us their best shot.
You give your best shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I move that we award $400 for prize money.
Or have $400 available for prize money? I mean, okay.
That wasn't very eloquent.
Well,
I worded it, but
I'll just put,
that's the idea.
and I'll reword it up to $400 for prize money.
And one entry also in
And one
the
entry
motion.
per.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, so we're good on the library
I think
card
we're gonna get
contest.
Electronic submittals.
They're going to use their iPads and they're going to create.
Yep.
videos, and
Yeah.
They're
Yep.
just going to send it for
And-
ethics.
Scribble in the form somehow and get it to you.
I'd maybe make a Google form or something, or some digital submission. form.
That can be filled in electronically, yeah.
Thank
Does
you.
it count if they draw it with one of those pens on an iPad instead of with a real?
Yeah, because it's like,
It's-
second, they're trying to pay.
Yeah.
That's still original. Yeah, it's still original.
Do you think that I should, I mean, I plan on contacting our teachers now, and sending an email, I mean, school will be in session. to the,
I would love to
David, yeah, do you think I should also do Kyle? Okay, I mean, because that would be for an adult, adult submission. Yeah, they would,
Get a whole lot of other adult solutions.
yeah,
But students would, that'd be a great way for them to showcase.
yeah.
In that case, it should be going to Mitchell's Tech as well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not sure,
Carol really hangs it probably the best person.
yeah, and then she can distribute it however she wants to.
Whichever application makes it easier.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, so we finished that one, right? So
Yeah.
we're on to funding requests. So these are, okay, go.
So we have five funding requests, one larger one that, we've talked about in the past, and then Jean mentioned, wanting to give some prizes to the super achievers and also to our volunteers who donated and spent a lot of time helping with summer programming. Judy Freeman and Amber, they came many days and just kind of helped corral children and help, so they gave a number of hours. And so Jean is asking $20 to $50, $25 to $50. She didn't, letting it be your discretion of how much either amount she thought would be good. I don't know if you want to take each one of these or just do it all as, and then,
I'll move that we approve $1,700. And you had $1,685 on that.
okay,
In case something goes over or under, or even $1,750. In case something doesn't come in, and I don't think you need to go through each.
okay, each, the other one,
PayPal, and we're
yeah, that,
giving gift cards to people that helped us. That's
Okay.
It should be local though. Gift cards for Mitchell. I know I love Mitchell local, but Mitchell bucks or something.
okay.
Yes, that's probably since it's coming from the city.
Yeah.
Well, not technically, it's coming from the
Library board.
trustees, but
Yeah.
still.
But still, it could be Mitchell bucks, which is a good way of doing it. Then it's not a gift card to a specific
What is,
store either. They can spend it however they want. We're not, doing favoritism.
what is the Baker and Taylor, would they order that then through the library? This,
Yeah, I can explain that a little bit. In the past, we've done different versions of these extra mile winners. Last year, what we did is we gave everybody a $15 gift certificate to Reader's Den, but since they're no longer in business, then what we've did 3 or 4 years ago was to have students basically choose their favorite book, and we'll order a hardcover version of it. So, and it really works out pretty well. Then we don't have, and then I.
And Baker and
order those
Taylor's
through
are
Baker and
one of our
Taylor.
vendors that we
Okay,
get most of
and
our
then
children
could they
for.
use their Mitchell bucks for that, or is that something?
No,
That's something.
and that they wouldn't get the
That's
money at
something
all.
different. Yeah,
They just
okay.
tell us
People
what book they
volunteer.
want, and we present them
Yeah.
with the book.
And
Okay.
actually, the books end up being a little less, so if they choose a book that's maybe $17.95 hardcover price, it'll probably be $10.34.
Because we can
for
typically
us.
get 40% off
Yeah.
from
Nice,
them.
okay. I just wasn't sure that was your vendor.
I think that's great.
Yep,
Okay, so I'm writing, motion by Rice for $17.50.
to make sure we cover plus and minus of
Okay.
some of those that
Okay.
are little unbilled.
Okay, do I have a second?
And that we, for the gift price, for the monetary gifts, we do Mitchell bucks. I'll just make sure I then get that. And we get those from the chamber?
I was thinking the same thing. Where do we get?
I think it's a
They
chamber.
just went online, get a card.
Oh,
Like
okay.
a credit card thing
Yep.
that you, okay.
Did you have a second on that, Kevin?
I have not written down a second yet.
I'll get a second.
Okay? I do now.
All right, so all in favor of, you want to read what that was?
Okay, the motion by Rice is to approve up to $1,750 for these funding requests, and for the monetary gifts that will be given to the individuals will be Mitchell Bucks.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, so that passed. All right, so anything else, Kevin?
Mm-mm.
Looks
Thank
like
you.
we are to committee reports. I don't believe we have any committees. Any board input? Citizens input? Okay, next board meeting, September 21st, 5 PM, right here. Adjourn. I love that.
6:07. Thank you. Thank you very much. Oh.
Yes, good job.